So, Namaste, welcome to Satsang today. So it's good to be back here live with you in Satsang. It's been a little while, and this is the first live Satsang this year. So I see some new faces and some not so new faces. Glad that you're all here. Um, and I'll make some time in a few minutes for some questions if people have questions here live on the session. I'm going to go directly to the questions that have been sent in because they've been sitting here a while. So if you want to put your hand up, you can. I'll read these 4 questions out that have been sent in, and then I'll come to the hands here. So this first question says, hi Helen, thank you so much for your teachings. They always provide me with much needed wisdom and a sense of calm. My question is a follow-up to one I asked, and you kindly answered for me about a year ago concerning having chronic fatigue and feeling unable to shift it. Your advice a year ago was to see what belief I'm holding on to, which is creating my body's inability to feel safe and to participate in life like I used to. I can see that the belief I hold is that I'm not good enough. I am unworthy of love, and I'm being punished by God for making mistakes in my past. I do a lot of meditation, which includes self-compassion, and although my symptoms have got a little better, I'm still unable to do things that people around me are doing. I'm desperate to get a job and to contribute to society, and I've been training as a mindfulness teacher. However, it seems like whenever I start doing more, my body puts the brakes on and I end up really frustrated. Given that I know what the belief is and that I show compassion to this scared part, I feel like things aren't really changing. I know this is a negative view as things are changing. For example, I'm less reliant on medication since I experienced a mental health crisis 3 years ago when suffering with long COVID. And I know that is deep down due to all the inner work I'm doing. I would just like to speed up the process. So if I am the only one here and I ask or say that I am recovering and going to get back out there because I know this is just an old belief I can let go of, then why isn't it happening? I know this belief plays out in other areas of my life, particularly in my relationships, but I'm aware of this. And when I notice it, mostly, I do not allow it to influence my actions. If you could give me some guidance, I'd be most grateful. Thank you so much, Helen. So, there's a couple of things in here what you've written that really kind of struck me. So you have applied what I said before, and that's brilliant. You've done that the best that you can. And of course, now we're looking at some finer emotions behind this. You've mentioned here feeling very frustrated in what you've written, in the lack of progress or the lack of speed of this recovery. So I would like to bring attention to the frustration as being a completely separate belief that's coming up now that the core of unworthiness perhaps has been dealt with. There might be some of that still there, but of course, when I dealt with the heavier emotions such as fear and guilt, things like that, through contemplation, and they began to leave my experience, what I was left with was a lot of irritation, frustration, impatience. And these are 3 forms of anger, sort of minor forms of anger. If you look at frustration, it feels a little blocked, doesn't it? It feels that I want something and it's not coming. Something's in my way. Something's blocking me. It's not coming fast enough, as you've said. I would just like to speed up the process. So, as subtle as it may be, I'd like you to start looking now at, is healing actually a process? So, if there is no separate person, no separate being, then the karmic patterns and unworthiness and things like that that belong to that separate being must also be as non-existent as the separate self. If we look together now to find out what exactly this I is, this me, then we wouldn't find anything other than something completely insubstantial, the formless infinite self. And if the me isn't actually what we think it is, then my karmic patterns, my things I need to clear up, my body even that needs healing, we have to begin to suspect all of that too. And of course, I'm not saying we negate the body, quite the opposite. In fact, we can look after it completely. But how long does it take to heal something that belongs to a separate being that doesn't exist? And I'm saying this because there was a very subtle belief. I'm not negating at all the condition of the body, I'm talking about a very subtle belief that was inside my consciousness that's kind of speaking to me in what you've written here. And I've seen, and it went something like this, I've seen that there's no separate self, but I still have to clear up the remnants of that separate self, the mess that it made in my life, that type of thing. I still have to undo what's been done, and that takes time. And as you said, a process. But can that really be what's true? And I'm not saying that you suddenly expect the body to totally heal itself right now, but we can begin to undo this belief in time and a process. If the cause, the separate self, is absent, then the effect must also be absent. Quite often, we keep the separate sense of self alive, actually, ironically, by having to undo what we thought was done by it. Maybe the body's only suffering now from the idea, reflecting back the idea that there's something to be undone. If in fact you have always been the infinite self, then what actually is there to fix? This frustration for me is a big neon sign that we still feel we're in a process moving towards something. And for me, this was a very painful phase. I've seen there's no separate self, but it'll take some time before that's fully permeated my being and all the karmic patterns have gone. And I got stuck there for a very long time, and it was not fun at all. So I'd urge you to be really courageous as you have been already and just challenge this. Maybe your body is reflecting back to you still that you feel you're in a process. Are you, the infinite self, in a process? The body might be, but how about you? Because if you believe you are moving towards some future moment where everything will be fixed and healed and perfect, then the body's going to have to keep reflecting that back to you. It takes its cue from you. So another way to say this is what's maintaining this physical condition now might be different than what started it in terms of beliefs and vibrations. Maybe it started from unworthiness and some kind of deep desire to punish ourselves for not feeling good enough. I know I did that for a very long time. Maybe it shifted to something else now, though. So what remains for you to do? If you're free, you're free. It's not that I'm free and I've got to clear up stuff. Real freedom means I've always been this. Anything other than this infinite self is our imagination, this separate self, and all the branches of this personal self, you know, its unworthiness and its fears and its doubts and all of that. It all has to go. And of course, the effects and reflections and echoes and mirror images in the body and our life. you must also begin to see through those as well. So hopefully that gives you some way forward. And it's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's just this temptation to believe ourselves to be in a process or be evolving towards something or getting ever closer to full and final realization where I'm free of all karmic patterns. It is the most seductive part of the illusion, and it takes sometimes a little snapping out of. You are free now, as always. So the second question just says, it's hard for me to understand why I continue smoking after understanding that there is no one here and I am pure consciousness. I think I still identify with the body in a stupid way. So that doesn't give me so much to work with. I'm not sure what you mean by in a stupid way. But I would suggest that this question is coming from a halfway place. We might have seen that we are pure formless conscious awareness, sentience, and not actually a separate person. We might have seen that the body is happening inside what we are. But it needs to go a little deeper. Need to go deeper still to see that the body is this consciousness too. The cigarettes are this consciousness. The habits are also made of consciousness. Even the identification, everything is this pure consciousness. So I'd suggest an inquiry, looking at what is this body, just sitting with that question, what is my body? You can even do it with a cigarette. You can ask, what is this cigarette? And don't stop at the obvious answers, whether you're doing it on the body or anything. There'll be lots of thought answers that come. Mind will be very happy to tell us a lot. And emotions might come up and sensations. But really, I wouldn't stop with this until you know what the body really is, what it's made of. Because it's one stage to realize I'm not the body. I am the consciousness that's watching the body. And then as we go deeper into that, we'll see the body also is this. There's only this pure consciousness. And you'll find after that that the body's natural intelligence and wisdom will reassert itself quite quickly and easily. But I also just want to say, before I leave this one, that there's a little hint of self-judgment here. I just feel like maybe you're judging yourself a little bit here for not having been able to let go of this already. And that might be the only thing that's keeping it in place, paradoxically. Whatever we're blaming ourselves for or judging ourselves for, it's hard to let go of. The moment we accept, okay, I'd like that it wasn't happening, but it still is. And the moment I can let go of it, I will. And obviously I can't right now. So I'm going to do my best to accept myself as I am right now and my desires for how I would like to be in the future. So just something else there to look at. Third question. Dear Helen, thank you so much for your amazing teaching. I've done your Dissolve an Ego course twice and have now signed up for the graduate program. I meditate every day and I'm lucky in that I have the time to walk in nature every day too. Although I've only known about your teaching since November last year, I have been on this path for the last year, really, since my husband died. Please, could you help me with a question I have? My understanding is that awakening is happening and that it will happen at the pace it's meant to happen. My understanding is that all I need to do is to have the desire to awaken and to be loyal to the practices, both of which I have and am. At the moment, whilst I understand intellectually that I am not a separate being, experientially that has not sunk in yet. I only say that because I'm noticing the difference between my experience of the world and others in the satsangs and question and answer sessions I've watched. For instance, when I meditate, the silence is very loud and vibrates all around me. That is, I do not experience myself as the noumenon. but as one who observes the noumenon around my body. Am I right to understand that there is nothing I need to concern myself with except to keep on the path, keep meditating and inquiring, and just trust that it is all happening as it's meant to, with love? So you have the two things you need. You have a devotion to the truth, not to any teaching or teacher, but to the truth. And you have a consistent, regular practice, which is amazing. So for me, for a long time, there was a sense of me and the silence, and I could get into the silence anytime, in a busy airport, in a train station, at home alone, with the kids were fighting, everything. But as you said, there was still a me and it, and this is where lesson 3 of the Dissolving Ego course came from, actually, and the exercises that we do there. But I would ask you to challenge that. There seems to be a me that's observing the silence. But I experience myself as one who observes the noumenon around my body. So you must really challenge this. It feels like there's someone here noticing the stillness or listening to the silence. But can you find it? Most of us stop it as seems to be. It seems to be here. And it was incredible to me that my whole life I'd assumed myself to be a someone, really felt like it. And yet the very first time I actually looked to see if I could find this one that was tuning into the silence, couldn't find it. I found only silence. And every single time I've looked since, I've not found it. So that has to be really challenged and questioned, really sort of not taking a seems to be. In awakening, we want to know experientially without a doubt. And when we actually look for the location and the nature of this one that's experiencing the real self, that seems separate from it, it vanishes. It's like it's only alive because we believe in it and we don't investigate. It's more like a phantom than anything. And the very first time I looked, it just was not there. There was only infinite silence. That was really quite shocking. So yes, devotion to the practice and everything is going to get you to this point, but you can also either go to lesson 3 of the course, really, really indulge in that, and or do like I'm saying here, and really try and find that one that is the separate self. Can you actually find it? Find a body, might find some thoughts, some emotions going around the body, sense perception going on. But who do they belong to? Who is it that says me? I'm listening to the silence. Who is that? Can you find it? Really, really important. And it will shortcut the whole thing. Okay, last one here. Hi, Helen. A while ago, for almost a week, I had the experience during deep sleep to be a dimensionless point of I am. I am. There was no experience of a body or world. There was also a feeling of a query. What is this I am? Like an eye which cannot see anything, but knows it is seeing nonetheless. And there is knowing of this seeing. During wakefulness, there was a sense of lightness and freshness like never before. But one night, the decision, I want to experience deep sleep, was made, and that dimensionless point of being or knowing was let go of. I read somewhere that this experience of being a point of I am also belongs to the mind. What is your take on what this dimensionless point really is as related to the pure awareness? Also, is the wakefulness experienced, which is really a non-experience by seers, different than being this dimensionless point of I am? So it's a little challenging for me, because for deep sleep, for me, there's no experience at all. It's just complete absence of experience of world. Maybe that's what you're referring to there. dimensionless point of I am, I can really only tell you what my own experience is. And that is that I found myself to be that no thingness, that formlessness, that everywhereness, omnipresence, in which there is a body that goes through the waking and dreaming and deep sleep states. They're just rotating in front of me as a function of having this body while it's here. Even if we could experience being a point of I am, which I'm not really 100% certain what you mean by that, still, if it's only an experience, it's not the ultimate truth. If it came and went, then it's not the ultimate truth. That which sees the experience coming and going, that's the ultimate truth. So you who knew what was happening, I would pay more attention to who you really are than any experience that comes and goes. Only the pure awareness, which is everywhere, at all times, appearing as all things. We've also called it consciousness, self, we could call it anything. Only that is permanent. Everything else is just the shape that awareness is making. Even the most profound spiritual experience we could have right here and now would just be a momentary thing arising in that pure awareness. So I don't feel like I've helped you much with that. So if you want to write back in and you can clarify what you mean a little bit more, that then we'll have another go. But maybe that's enough to help you right now. So okay, let's go to the hands that are up. We'll go to Yavana when you're ready.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm nervous and excited.
Me too, me
So
too.
lovely. Thank you. And it is a topic like the letter before, is the experiencing myself as the infinite self or the Nubanon. Yeah, I'm not able, I don't seem to be able to do it. I can do contemplation. I can do the theoretical. In fact, we were talking about something, how what we were wanting. I mean, my heart, I could feel my heart just sort of singing, but I can't seem to experience. I can sort of picture this, and I'm picturing it's a head thing. The infinite self, or I can manage the contextual, but I'm looking at it. I'm not it.
Why are you sure that you're looking at it? Can I challenge it a little
Because
bit?
my head, I'm giving myself a commentary all the time. I'm explaining it to myself.
Is that
So
you
I'm
explaining? There's thoughts going on in a head, right? There's a commentary going on in your head, like there was in mine. But do you have to take ownership of that? What we can do, if you want, is to do a little direct inquiry here together, if you'd like to.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Thank you. Yes.
So just before we do that, can I just ask for no more hands up? I'll take the hands that are up now. That'll probably be all the time that we have. So just for now, no more hands. Thank you. Okay, so let's go and look for what you really are. So what do you find when you look for yourself? And there's no right or wrong answers here. We're just going to explore a little bit together. Let's see what we find when we look.
I seem to experience a sort of a a, a body or a stump around my tummy
Yeah,
particularly,
yeah,
and a head.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
keep looking. Those are all ways that you can show up. Let's stay with this. What else are you? Can you find anything else that is you?
For I had a nice moment of thinking. I couldn't actually keep thinking, but I have got tinnitus in my ears, so I can hear that
Yeah.
ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I did go to a sort of a more no thought place, which was nice.
Did you go to it, or did it just happen to show itself?
Ah,
It's different, that, isn't it? Let's stay with this. So there's a body, there's thoughts, there's the ringing sound. What else are you? All of those are fine, and we're just not excluding them. We're just going to keep on digging a little deeper. What else are you? We're not trying to make any answers appear here. We're just seeing what happens when we chill out with this question.
yeah, still body sensation. There was sort of a
Sensations, yeah.
warm body sensation, but
Yeah. Okay, then staying with the question, what else do you notice about you? Just very gentle. We're not working hard at all. We're just seeing what happens when we ask this question.
I feel quite a lot of pressure in my head.
Yeah. Just staying with the question. Not trying to get rid of any of these sensations, but just coming back to the question anyway. What else am I?
I don't know.
No, that's exciting. Isn't that
Yeah,
exciting?
it is
How does that feel?
exciting.
How does it feel?
Really nice.
Really nice. Because before you
And
were very sure that you were the one that couldn't find the
yeah,
ultimate self, right? So this is a huge breakthrough.
yeah, it is. And I was searching so hard, and I can see it was me doing. Yeah.
Just kind of
Oh,
let's just hang out in that. It's totally okay to not really have a clue at all. Let's just hang out in that softness and then just gently drop this question in again. What am I? It's totally okay if the answer comes again, I don't know, but let's just see what happens if we relax in that nice place. What actually am I? Might even find you don't really care about finding out what you are, right?
yeah. I just sort of came all this, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm seeing nothing.
You're seeing nothing, did you say?
Yeah.
You're seeing the absence of phenomena. You're seeing that which is not a phenomenon. You're seeing no thing. And how does it kind of feel? Does it feel open and relaxed?
definitely. Oh, I knew I was excited. I knew it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So just keep doing like this. Just keep coming back and proving I can find it. Here it is again and again and again. And we got to this by asking what you are. So this is the answer to this question. We didn't ask, what are you looking at? We were asking, what are you? So a few phenomenal answers, body sensations, all of that. If we don't make them wrong, but just keep going with the inquiry anyway. Usually we stop at the thoughts or some sensation. But if we just stay with that question like we did, quite quickly you break through into what's permanent and real. And even your mind eventually wants to get on this train because it feels so nice just to kind of hang out there, right? Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Good to talk to you. Vincent?
Hi, Helen.
Hi, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. I have a question, or actually a few questions, and they're kind of related, I think,
Okay.
because I can experience myself as the formless,
Mhm.
and then at times I dive into thoughts, and then I lose that. I'm not in touch with that anymore, and you sometimes say then, of course, you're still the formless, but then what I think is then that might be true, but that's of no use for me because I'm not, experiencing that.
Yeah.
So that is one question, and it is related with because it seems like it's in time that I could learn to stay longer as the formless, which I
Mhm.
already am, but consciously, I mean.
Yeah.
And is that like, because you sometimes say it deepens over time,
Mhm.
and I wonder, is that actually deepening? I mean, it sounds as if there's some end goal deepening and some depth you want to go to, or is it an ever unfolding? For me, that's kind of a different thing.
Mhm.
And does it ever end? Or like if you're talking about enlightenment or something like that, is there a point when that's there, or is that every time you are aware of being aware?
So there's a point where there's no longer being aware of being aware, where there's just awareness, which is how it is already, but consciously, as you were saying, just awareness or just silence, and it isn't arcing back to look at itself. It's just here. Um, let's go into the first question because I think that might resolve the second one as you kind of intuited as well. And if it's not cleared up the second one, then we'll go back around. So just let me recap just to make sure I've got it. So you can experience yourself as the formlessness, but it only seems to last for a certain amount of time, and then you're back into thoughts, etc. Right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to that formlessness now. Let's experience it together. And as you're being that, seeing that right now, is it something that's changing? Because there's no right or wrong answers here. There's just an exploration that we're doing together. So is that formless emptiness, consciousness, whatever we're calling it, is it changing?
No.
No, and you sound pretty sure about that, so that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So can it be you then? If this is what you are, this formlessness, can it be you that's doing this? In, out, in, out. It feels like it's you. I get that totally, but you have to really investigate this. It's really a place where we all get stuck for a little while. Something is going backwards and forwards, but is it you? If we can prove that it's not you, then you'll be established in this as this formlessness constantly. Okay. You
Yeah.
with me so far?
Yeah, I can see that it's what I am is always there.
Mhm.
And at this moment, I can also see that when there are thoughts, that is also the case. And when I'm in a thinking mode, when thoughts like they follow each other up, I lose that recognition.
Hmm.
Or at least I don't know who is. I mean, the recognition is not there.
Yeah.
I know that I am still there, but at that moment I don't.
So when attention is on that formlessness, the body feels relaxed and open and free. And then some thoughts pop up and attention goes to those thoughts, and we seem to lose that experience. But are you moving and changing in that? Are you affected by where the attention goes?
No.
No. So, aren't you even aware, watching the attention moving? So here's you, the formlessness, for sake
Mhm.
of explanation. Of course, it's not a flat thing, and here's the attention. And sometimes it turns around to look at you, and the body responds and goes, "Oh, that's so nice." Sometimes it turns around to look at thoughts, and the body says, "I don't like that so much." It gets all contracted, and sometimes it turns back, and it's doing this all the time, isn't it? Form, formless, form, formless. But you can see where your attention is, can't you? When your attention goes to thoughts,
Mhm.
you know where it's gone, and you haven't gone. You're still here as the formlessness. You're
I
watching
am,
attention.
but not consciously. I forget that that is the case, but I know it is the case.
Do you even have to remember and forget?
Well, if I get into a thought treadmill, it goes everywhere, and then yeah. I don't know if I forget, but there is a
Yeah.
forgetting
See,
somehow.
now there's a gap here. There's a real exciting. This is exciting. Let's go back and experience the formlessness again together right now. And tell me, does it need to wake up and find out who it is?
No,
No. And is it remembering and forgetting?
no.
So I want you to do something for me then. The next time you seem to lose it, right? You're experiencing it and it feels lovely. And then the very next time it goes or seems to go, the formlessness, I want you to just go, not my problem. Do nothing at all about trying to get it back. I know this is counterintuitive, but
But I can only say that the moment I detect that I'm actually in this thinking treadmill.
whenever you become aware that your attention has moved,
Yeah.
normally we'd make some effort to try to bring it back.
Yeah, but for me, I don't, for me, if I see it, I get back. That's no problem. But
Do
what
you
do I
get
know?
back? Do
Be
you get back?
Well, it's there. I can see in just kind of an instant. Um,
Can you
uh,
see that you're identifying with attention? I get back, you say.
is that something else then?
Yeah, that's not you.
So what is that?
You're watching this movement.
Yeah.
I want you to stay here behind even attention.
Then what is attention then? What is that?
It's just a faculty that comes with the human body. It can either turn around and look at the formlessness that it arises out of, or it can look at some phenomena like a thought or a body.
Mm.
And we all identify as this for quite some time until it gets to this point where you're at now. But you are before even attention.
So even if my attention is not on the formless, it is,
Still, I am. Still, I am.
yeah.
And so if you can see that, I know even what my attention is doing. I'm watching even this remembering, forgetting is just going on in front of me like a movie playing.
Yeah. And then is there is that an ever ongoing thing, or is that ending
The
somehow?
moment you say, you know what, that's nothing to do with me, it stops.
Yeah. So then there is no deepening or unfolding, actually.
There is, in a way, there's a deepening in the way the body and mind experience you, the formlessness. So my body and mind here experience myself deeper, clearer today than yesterday, and tomorrow it'll be even deeper, and it's infinite, like you kind of pointed to. It's like an unfolding that carries on. Really, the very first time you see that formlessness, that's a kind of ending, isn't it? But it's also a beginning, in a way, of this infinite. The body and mind allow what you really are to express yourself. So,
And is it then because you say is it better every day, or is it just different? Is it,
both.
yeah,
And you can see even now, the first time you recognize yourself to be formless and empty of substance, it felt a certain way. Today, when you look and see that, it feels even nicer in the body, doesn't it? And if
yeah.
we were to do this 2 weeks from now together, it would feel even deeper, even more obvious, even more real.
But that feels that there's going to be an end to that.
There's no end. There's no end. It is literally infinite in its capacity to express itself through a human body, as a human body.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, because sometimes you talk about also different lifetimes even. I don't know if actually you say that, do you?
Yeah, many bodies have come and gone in front of this awareness, right? And there seems to be a succession of time as the bodies have come and gone.
Yeah.
And the awareness has used these bodies to learn and understand about itself. We could call those lifetimes, but it's not having a lifetime, it's watching lifetimes come and go in front of it.
Mm.
Finally, it arrives at this one where it can actually recognize itself and recognize it's not anything that's moving or changing, even attention.
So there is a kind of finally, I hear you say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is, and it's also a beginning as well. Beginning of discovery of what it's like to move as this, to live as
Yes, I get that. That sounds like an unfolding.
very
And
much.
if you look at like emotions, because sometimes you say you should, I don't remember if you said it, but feel them or be there with them.
Mhm.
But I would say you can, these emotions, they are there because of like the wrong
Yeah,
identification.
absolutely.
So why would you feel them? Would you just not like change the identification?
If you can just look at the thought and go, that's not true, great to do that. If it still feels true because there's a lot of emotion coming up, then we might need to feel the emotion and ask it what it needs to tell us. But as you deepen in your seeing of who you really are, then it's going to become clearer that no thought applies to you, no
Mm.
story.
Yeah. So with emotions, you don't, because you could try to find out what the thought is that actually is eliciting this emotion, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's not even necessary, I would say.
It's one of those, it's necessary until it's not.
Okay.
As soon as we're ready, we can go straight to the shortcut like we're doing now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That's very helpful.
Wonderful. Good, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Pauline?
Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
everything. So, there's been a lot of talk this evening about, is it my problem? And no, it's not my problem. But there, I was thinking about a week ago, sometimes I listen to one of the videos, and where is my what's the thing that can bring me back into form like that?
Mhm.
And it is, I thought immediately, my Achilles heel. It's my children.
Yeah.
And they've grown, but it is such, this is why I'm speaking this evening, because it's all fresh. Usually answers will come,
Mhm.
it'll be calm. And on the one level, I'm perfectly aware that there's absolute peace, but there's a whole lot of oh, sorry, I just got a note come up. A whole lot of emotion going on. I found out a few hours ago that my son has his third autoimmune disease, and this one looks to be sort of a worsening of the case. And
Mhm.
at this point, I can go into the peacefulness, but it seems like a betrayal. And I know it's not, but I'm being sucked back and forth into this, because when I am feeling peaceful, and I can get there quite easily, but it feels,
It doesn't
yes.
feel right to do it. Yeah. I totally, I can't obviously understand what it's like for your son, but as a mother of 4 children, I totally get this. So let's look at the logic from the mind. It says something like it's not right to be peaceful when he's suffering, or something like that, right? Yeah.
It's not, it's illogic.
Yeah, I
Me
mean, but
suffering does him no good at all.
let's just unpick it a little bit, because sometimes it just needs a little investigating. So for me, I had to ask myself this question: is it helping my child if I'm suffering? They're suffering, or they think they are, because perhaps they haven't realized who they are yet, and that's okay. But if I'm suffering too, is that helping them or not?
Not one iota.
So in that situation, sometimes for me, there was a realization of all I can do right now to help them is to stay in the peace, to stay as my real self. Because then if I don't divide myself into me and my child, then whatever realization I've achieved here, whatever presence I have, is going to be available to help that body over there too, right? And this the way to happiness is by delaying your own happiness. The way to help others is by delaying your own happiness. This is the kind of the mantra of the mind. But if we really just kind of examine it without judgment, the mind is saying you can't be happy until everyone else is something, or you shouldn't be happy until they are happy. And perhaps even that makes sense from the mind, but from the place where there's only you, that's not really going to work, is it? If there's only the one being. So can we just kind of understand that that seems relevant and true from the mind, but also not buy into it?
Yes. But then self-blame comes in, because I think why am I projecting this? Why if I am the all-powerful one, what am I doing?
Yeah. Maybe it's just habits, old habits. Maybe that seeing of who we really are hasn't fully penetrated our mind structure yet.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a seeing and a seeing and a seeing, and each time it leaves you a little less convinced of the separation thinking, a little more convinced of who you really are.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because it seems, it's like, you know, that horrible thing they used to say, your child was crying and you smack them and say, I'll give you something to really cry about. It looks as though I was always worrying over small things about them. So I seem to be making it bigger and bigger so that I can just say, what, you know, it's...
Let's remember something too that I had to come to realize. You're having trouble letting go of thinking of them as a separate being and yourself when it comes to your children. Everywhere else easy or easier, but here not so easy. And you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's because you're a good parent and you care about them, isn't it? I had to admit that to myself finally. If I wasn't a good parent, I'd be like, yeah, I'm off into the peace. See you later. You know, do what you like. But it's because you're a good parent that you're even concerned about letting go of thinking about them as a separate being. Can you see that?
I can. And I have to say, of course, tendency to blame oneself. I'll say yes, but that maybe you're, because I defined myself as mother through them, then maybe I'm just trying, I'm thinking it's about them, but it's really about me not wanting to let go of myself.
Blaming yourself because you haven't let go yet.
Yeah.
Right? And that's different.
Mm.
Perhaps you're holding on a little bit here because you're a really good parent and you just want to be doubly sure. And I know I did. Like, will I even care about my kids after I really know there's only me? That was a real concern I had, and it really was a huge thing. Will I even be effective at helping anyone if I know there's only me?
Mm.
Will I just sit on the sofa in my house and do nothing and go, sort yourselves out? And I know we're obviously taking this as far as, but just for sake of explanation, it's okay that it's a difficult area. We all have our difficult areas. Parents, anyone who's a parent, this will be one of those difficult areas. It goes against, we've spent all this time raising these children, thinking about them, worrying about them, and suddenly it feels like we're being asked to let go of them. But we're only being asked to let go of thinking about them.
Yes.
And that's all in here. It's not out there, is it?
Yeah.
That seeing for me was quite huge. And also the blame went with that. It's okay. Everyone has their sticky area, like you said.
Yeah.
Can you just
I thought of
yourself?
Mary and Jesus and the crucifixion, and I thought, for a mother seeing her son being crucified, wow, that's quite a symbolic representation there of this.
But maybe we eventually come to that realization, this is the best way to help. I will not divide myself anymore, because that is the greatest way to help them and the greatest act of love.
Thank you, Helen. Mostly that, and I see that does help. It's just sometimes it just comes up.
If we get really honest now, you and me, this isn't about your son or even about separation, right? It's about you blaming yourself for something that you think you should have been able to do by now.
Yes, yes, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
And it'll happen when it happens. Probably right after you forgive yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Good to talk to you. Ginny?
Hi there.
Hi.
So I don't know what my question is or if I have one, but there's something that has kind of come through a thread of all the things people have been saying. which is kind of just wanting to be expressed in some way.
Mhm.
The phenomena are not a problem, are they? Not one tiny bit of a problem.
Nope.
In fact, what I discover is that the deeper and deeper I find the formless, the more I love the phenomena, the more wholeheartedly and unreservedly. And phenomena are so messy. They seem to be built to join together and then break apart, join together and break apart. So cells join together to start creating little creatures and plants and so, and then they break apart and fall to bits again. And then they join and they break and they join and they break. And, you know, you've got that lovely image, haven't you, of the wave in the ocean, which is often used for the phenomena within the noumenon. And I look at my dog. She's got emotions. I don't know what they are. Sometimes they're crazy, but you know, she fights against separation. She wants to bark at the seagulls. She has things that she likes and things that she hates. And I don't think it's because she's having lots of thoughts that she's believing. There's just in that package of phenomena, there's a wish to join and a wish to separate. There's this coming and going, and sometimes it creates an awful lot of noise, like, you know, she's in physical pain, or she's not wanting me to be out all day and is pleased when I come back and barks a lot, you know. So I find her quite a helpful guide to how to relate to what goes on with this body mind, because if somebody cut this arm off this body, there'd be a lot of blood and a lot of pain and an awful lot of screaming, because to unjoin this bit of this body, it causes pain for very good reasons. Yeah. So, you know, to attend to it. And it seems to me it's the same with emotions. So, you know, I've recently gone through a huge breakup after a long marriage, and there's been loads of emotion, and that's given me plenty to practice with.
That's a good way to look at it.
But the more and more, you know, I've been really, really practicing with it very deeply, and there's been lots of tears and anger and all sorts of stuff coming up, and blaming and shame and, you know, the whole gamut. And the more I look at my dog and I watch what goes on with her, the more I think, this isn't a problem. This is natural. These little body minds are made to join and come apart. So I was really interested when Pauline was talking about her children. I've got 2 kids too. They've gone through all sorts of things.
Yeah.
There's this joining and coming apart and joining and coming up. At some point, you know, this body mind will stop and it'll fall apart and they'll be sad for a bit. And that, you know, it's, so I guess what I'm saying is I'm noticing just what a fuss happens. You know, what a lot of noise and kerfuffle and tears and upset and don't leave me, and, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there was a story that the little bit that maybe is why I need to say this out loud to you is that there's still some bit of a story that says, yeah, but Helen says if you're completely sorted, you won't even get ill. Or Helen says if you're completely sorted, you won't be upset if your marriage falls apart. And there's this little Helen that lives in my head sometimes, or whoever it is, you know, that says nothing would happen at the phenomenal level. And I feel into the truth of that. And I look at my dog and I go, no, the noise and kerfuffle is fine. It's and what I've been experiencing more and more over these last months, when the noise and kerfuffle has been so bloody loud and painful, is that both really are true. Really are true.
Yeah.
And what I'm beginning to see more and more clearly is that this is why it's saying it out loud, is the noise and kerfuffle does not have to stop.
No, and sometimes it even intensifies for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the deeper you see that nothing is happening at all because all the phenomena are empty of substance, the more you can just let them move, like you were saying, and there's this frantic coming and going all the time going on in manifestation, isn't there? That less and less you feel a need to try to orchestrate or control, and it's just watched, and it does its thing. Some of that is pretty, some of that is not so pretty. You know, it's the body goes through whatever it goes through. Life happens, and But it's just watched from the deeper place rather than trying to orchestrate it, right? Running around trying to keep all these plates spinning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I seem to really love it.
Good.
Well, do you know what I mean? I seem to really love it. Even this marriage falling apart business, which is horrible.
It is, but there's also a real humanness to it, isn't there? There's an
Yeah.
absolute, and we
Yeah.
fall back in love with that. The good, the
Yeah.
bad, and the downright ugly
Yeah.
of our human experience.
Yeah. I think there's this kind of sense, the deeper I go, of like, well, I'm here, aren't I? I'm
Mhm.
here doing this. I, the formless, I'm in this hilarious situation that's very painful at times just now. I'm here doing it, therefore I'm choosing it. Therefore, I clearly love it. And it's really quite interesting connecting with that.
Mm. It's all of this coming and going is really love expressing itself, isn't it? Love deepening. From there, it's just, it's beautiful, whichever way, whether it's painful or blissful, it's still beautiful. It's all who you really are, using the phenomena to deepen its understanding as and express more love. And that's, it never stops. It just continuously in motion, and you can see that's all that's ever been happening, really. And we just thought we were orchestrating that as a separate being. Not so much.
Yeah. It's when it all falls apart, I suppose. It's like a big neon sign going, look, you weren't orchestrating anything.
Yeah, look at this. Did you do this? Yeah. And we all need those moments to show us we're really not, to help us step back into that, which is just able to allow. And for me, there was quite a lot of falling apart after the seeing had deepened. Things that I was so desperately trying to hold together as a separate being, just, you know.
Yeah.
And then it fell together again, but in a much more beautiful way.
Mm. Mm.
Just happening by itself, like you said.
Mm. Mm. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to talk to you. And last but not least is Caro.
Hello, Helen.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
I can, yep.
Welcome. Okay. Thank you very much for everything. I would like to share something in the beginning of the year. I feel something inside that was changing. Like I let go some things, and I felt that this is my year. I felt here like about abundance, job, relationships, etc. I had one interview, was very nice project, everything was okay, but disappeared. I don't know why. I start to have to talk with somebody, was very beautiful. I feel like, because I feel deeper communication. This is something that I am looking in anybody, doesn't matter, was for me very, very beautiful, but I don't know why it changed. And this deeper connection was like, I felt that this year was with a deep, very deep connection with me, with the numinous. But after that, this relationship was a little bit more distance, not like before. And this beautiful connection with this is my year, job, abundant relationship, and everything was like not like before. Something in me was a little bit sad, and continue with the meditation, with everything. 1 second, sorry. Gaby, ahorita, un segundín. Sorry. Then yesterday when I saw you in the satsang, for me it was very, very beautiful. I felt again like now with a very beautiful connection as soon as I saw your eyes. Like I feel this is my family again. And I really want to be my own son.
Your own.
Son?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I want, if I have any attachment, to be with different eyes, you know. This is something that I really want to ask for her to improve this devotion, to be my own son, to carry on with everything. It doesn't happen if it works or doesn't work. That's just continue with that and with this not deeper knowledge with me. But me, no, Manuel, okay?
Yeah.
Then I want to ask you for this help, just
What does it mean
to-
to be your own son then? What does that mean to you?
I know, but for example, I have a very, very beautiful relationship, for example, with my boss, no?
Mhm.
Then I see like in unconscious way, I put something outside me.
Yeah.
Because when something happens, it's like I feel movement, like something is no balance. Then I want to open my heart to everybody, but if it's okay or not okay, if the people is okay or it doesn't, is not okay, doesn't matter. Just continue with this balance with me inside and because in unconscious way I start to I start to like you know, like I find somebody where I can relax, and I don't want that, because when I see that it happened in unconscious way, I starting to lose myself.
Are you though? Are you losing yourself, or is it more like you do some meditation, some inquiry, and you have a deeper seeing of who you are, and then that seeing naturally wants to move outwards, and for a while it moves outwards and it will adjust a relationship, or it will try to deepen a relationship, and then it'll do something in your world, and then it'll turn back in after a while and it'll want to go even deeper and see, and then after a while it'll turn back outwards again. Maybe it's just doing this.
Yes, but sometimes in the coming way to go deeper, this way is hard, no? It's like you feel a little bit lost.
Maybe, or maybe you can just see as if you're sitting in a boat and you have two oars, right? And you row with the left and then you row with the right, and then the left and then the right. So you go in and then it wants to express itself. And then it wants to see itself clearer and it wants to express itself in the world more. And that was what it was like for me. At first, it felt like I was isolating myself, and then I was going back in, and then I was isolating myself and I was going back. But it was kind of like breathing in and out. It wanted to recognize itself, then it wanted to apply that to the relationships and things. And then after it done that, it's okay, let's see if we can go even deeper. Can you feel that kind of movement? It's going in and out over time. The moment you kind of relax and let that happen, you'll find that it can go in and out at the same time. It can recognize itself clearer and allow that to express. And there's a lot more balance and harmony then. For so long, we've been so inwardly focused trying to recognize who we are that we might feel like we've neglected our relationships and all of that stuff a little bit. And then it rushes outwards now that it's seen itself. It wants to express that. It wants to, express itself consciously. But it's always going to be deepening in seeing itself and also expressing that. There's nothing going wrong there.
Okay.
Eventually, two wars at the same time, yeah?
It's difficult to accept, you know?
Yeah, but also true.
Okay. And also, just last question, you say something about Paul, about the children. but I think I didn't understand something. You say that when something happened, you don't say 1 second I meditate. I am doing meditation. I meditate and I'm going deeper later. That's okay or it's not okay? Because sometimes I have this kind of situation with my child. Like my first, I need to do this kind of things, and after that I can see you. It's like I don't know. Sometimes I feel no good because it's like my priority. My life is this. It's like my food to be okay with the rest of the work.
Do you have some private space where you can go and meditate where no one disturbs you? Or do your inquiry or something?
Yeah, most of the time I wake up very early. Yes.
So maybe also it's okay to say to them, I'm going to go do some meditation. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Don't knock on the door unless the house is burning down or something like that. Just give me 15 minutes. Yeah, or 20 minutes, whatever. For me, it was very challenging to even be able to ask for that, but to realize that if I'm doing my own meditation, I'm going to be happier with them afterwards anyway. They'll actually be grateful I've done my meditation rather than being really grumpy and irritable or something. You know, so my own children even learned, let's let mom have her meditation and then she'll be much happier afterwards. It's okay to do something for yourself, isn't it? Especially this.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Good to
Thank you
talk
very
to
much.
you.
I love you.
I love you too. Okay, so thank you, and for all your intelligent questions you sent in and you've asked here today as well. And wonderful to be back here live with you all. Thank you. Namaste.